My name is Gary Petco, and I'm the Knox County Schools Mathematics Supervisor. And I'm here with you for Week 4 for 7th grade Mathematics, Knox County Schools Safe at Home video. They go along with your learning packets that you either picked up at your meal distribution site or available online at the Knox County Schools website. This week's topic is applications of percents. As I mentioned, the video for this can be found along with other resources at the Knox County Schools website, or you can see them on TV on Tuesdays at 1:30 in the afternoon. This is our schedule, a local PBS station that has all of our videos that are also available online. Monday is your arts and your PE. Tuesday is the math videos, my special day of the week. Wednesday is social studies, Thursday is English, and Friday is your science. So if you don't catch the video online, you can also see it on TV. This week's topic, and what we'll do today, is introduce the topic that's in your packet. We'll present the task that's in there, because I think today's an interestingly intriguing one. It goes along with the spiral review we did last week, if you got a chance to work on that. So we want to present that task after we introduce the topic, and then work through the task, and then remind you of some available resources that can help you out not only with this task, but also with any other math that you might want to do. As I mentioned, this week's topic is applications of percents. It comes from Unit 2 in your 7th grade curriculum, probably worked on it somewhere around Christmas time. The standard we're going to work with is 7.rp.3, 7th grade, RP, ratios and proportions, and the third standard in that cluster. It's stated, use proportional relationships to solve multi-step ratio and percent problems. Those three words are in different colors. That's our key vocabulary that we'll need to work with and allude to during this time of this task. Let's look at that key vocabulary. The first one we'll start with ratio. That was something you learned in 6th grade. It was a comparison of two quantities by division. For example, a ratio that could be written in several different ways. 5 dogs to 3 cats. You learned that you could write it in words, 5 to 3. You could write it with symbols, 5:3. But the way we like to write it in the form of a fraction, 5/3, where 5 is in the numerator and 3 is in the denominator. Notice 5 comes first in the expression, 5 dogs. So in the ratio expression, 5 would come first. In the fraction expression, 5 goes in the numerator. It always goes on the top of the fraction. We like to write it in the fraction form because if we want to manipulate those two quantities, then we can do it better if it's in fraction form. Another key vocabulary is the word proportion. It was also touched on in the 6th grade and then reintroduced in the 7th grade. A proportion is an equation that states two ratios are equivalent. Essentially what it says is a proportion could be thought of as like a fraction, and a ratio could be thought of as like a fraction, and a proportion is two ratios that are equivalent. That takes us back to 5th grade math, and we talked about equivalent fractions. That's an example of proportion. Two ratios that are equal. For example, 3 to 1, the ratio 3 to 1, 3 over 1, is equivalent or equal to 12 over 4. 2 over 5 is equivalent to 40 over 100. Third piece of key vocabulary we'll work on is percent, the word percent. Now, I mentioned it earlier, we hit on some of this in that spiral review last week, but today we're really going to hit some applications of it. Percent is a ratio that compares a part to a whole using 100. It was really hit heavy in your 7th grade. Think of it this way. Percent, I like to think it says it's a ratio that compares a part to a whole using 100. Well, why 100? Well, 100 is a nice number that's easy to compare two quantities that appear to look like they're different amounts. For example, as a former basketball coach, I thought of this when my basketball players, if one of them were shooting free throws and hit 7 out of 11 free throws, another player went up and shot 6 out of 7 free throws. So one shot 7 out of 11, hit 7 free throws out of 11. The other one hit 6 out of 7. Well, which one did better? Do we just look at the numerator, the 6 in the 6 out of 7, or do we look at the denominator? Which one do you look at? Well, it's easy since the denominators are different. if we could compare them the same way to compare them, put them out both out of 100, so make the denominator 100 for both of them, then we kind of put them on what I call even playing field. So a percent allows us to compare two ratios that appear to have different denominators by making equivalent fractions with the denominator is 100. The symbol for percent is this little fellow right here. It looks like two zeros or two O's with a slash behind it. Let's dig deeper into that word percent, because I think that's the interesting part. If you listen to my videos earlier the past 3 weeks, you know I'm a lover of vocabulary, especially the math vocabulary, because it's so interesting where a lot of these words are derived, and I like it because it helps me have better understanding and conceptual understanding of the meaning behind the word. And it's no different with the word percent. Percent, if we break that down per and then cent, it comes around to think of per 100 or one of 100. Think of cent as in 1 cent is 1 penny. Well, there's 100 pennies in a dollar. So per 100, going back to the free throw example, I'm saying, okay, if we hit 6 free throws out of 7, what is that? Would that be if we made it out of 100? So per 100. What's interesting is this little percent symbol. I'm a big math geek in the sense I want to know why do we use certain symbols. So I looked that up when I first started teaching. And one of the reasons where that symbol comes from, it's kind of interesting, but also it gives us some meaning behind the word. It started out when from the Italian word percento. It's the Italian word for percent. That's my best Italian accent. Percento, which looks like the word percent with a zero, with an O at the end. Well, in early manuscripts in the 15th or 16th century, they started abbreviating it. So instead of writing out the whole word percento, they wrote per, and then they put the little CO, but they wrote the C with a little, almost like cursive, with a line telling down, and then the O. Percento, per, and then C and O. Over time, the per got dropped, and they had just a C and the O, but that C almost became another O. So one of the rumors is it came from the cento part, the 100. I kind of look at it like it looks like 2 zeros and a 1 slash between it. Either way, it helps me remember that we're dealing with something out of 100. And that's what we'll use today as we work with applications of percents. Now, as a reminder from your 7th grade curriculum, there's 4 really big areas that you would apply percents that you worked with. Determining the amount of tax on an item that you might buy, sales tax, for example. Determining the sale price of an item, which we really worked on last week in the spiral review. But one of the we're going to deal with today is finding the amount of interest earned or owed. Interest, that's an extra amount that you have to pay if you either borrow money or if you let somebody borrow money from you. If you borrow money from someone, they're going to ask you to pay not only the amount you borrowed, but a little bit more. The little bit more is called interest. And that interest is determined by a set percentage. And that's what this task is about. So let's look at the task. The performance task that you have in your packet is called Bicycle Tour Operator. Victor. Victor's a bike tour operator and needs to replace 2 of his touring bikes. Now, to put that in perspective, a bike touring operator is someone who, maybe in a downtown Knoxville or downtown Charleston or any town where they purchase a bunch of bicycles and they open this company up, or somebody a group of people want to rent some bikes because they want to tour the city, but they don't want to walk around and they don't want to drive around. So they tour the city on bicycles. So he has this company where he rents out bicycles for people to take and either tour, or maybe they want to go in the mountains and go riding bikes. Well, he needs to replace 2 bikes. So he orders 2 bikes from a sporting goods store. Victor doesn't have the money up front to pay for it, so he uses his credit card and pays for a total of $2,000 using his credit card. 2 bikes for a total of $2,000. Now, when the bill arrives, he reads the following information. You have a balance of $2,000 that you originally owe for the bikes, but you're going to pay more. You have an annual interest rate of 14.9%. Annual, meaning yearly. Minimum payment due right now is $40. And if you don't pay that $40, there's a $10 late payment if not received by, looks like May 1st. So with that information, let's see what goes along with the problem. First part, To keep his good credit, Victor promptly sends in a minimum payment. He says, hey, they're telling me I got to pay $40 minimum payment. I want to make sure I don't get in trouble for that. I'm going to pay my $40. When the next bill arrives, he looks at the previous bill. The balance is now $1,984.34. That's odd because he paid $40, so it looks like it'd be $40 take from that $2,000, which is $1,960, but no, it's $1,984. Still has the annual interest rate. Now he has a minimum pay of $40, but he got the late fee if not received by June 1st. Now, what we want to do with this problem is explain how the credit card company calculated the new balance of $1,984 as opposed to just taking the $40 away. Now, notice the given interest rate is annual, as I said earlier, yearly, but the payment is monthly. So the interest rate is yearly, but the payment is monthly, so they're going to eventually take that. Since there's 12 months in a year, they're going to take that interest rate and divide it by 12, say, but this is how much is due each month. So let's see how we work that problem. All right? Let's see how it works. If we go through this, what I do again is I underline the keywords. Victor owns his tour bike, and some of the keywords, he's got a credit card, which means he's got to owe money because he doesn't have the money up front. He's got a balance of $2,000. I look at that 14.9% interest rate. And as a reminder from last week, we write that as a decimal as 149 thousandths. And then I look what else is in there. Some of the key words, he sends in a minimum payment of the $40. And let's see what happens after we start to work that. Now I've given you some space at the bottom of that page to show some of your work. And eventually after we show the work, we're then going to explain how the credit cards. That's one thing we could do the math, but can we explain what we did with the math? And that's the important part right here we're going to work on. And notice that annual fee again, annual interest rate is monthly. So let's see what happens here. What's interesting here is we've got to consider a few things. And I apologize again, the way I hold my pencil is kind of funky and it might get in the way, but I'll try to move my paper so you'll know what it is. Okay, so what we're going to look at is we will look at what is the next balance due. Originally it was $2,000, but let's see what the next balance due is. How do we determine that? The next monthly balance. What does that equal? Well, it equals the previous balance minus the payment made. So the previous balance, take away the payment you send in, but you've got to add on to it how much new interest. So remember, they're going to charge you for borrowing money. So the balance minus the payment plus the new interest added. So that's a two-step problem we're going to work on. Let's first all look at what is the balance minus the payment. What would that look like? Well, remember the original balance was $2,000. So the balance minus the payment was $2,000. Take away his $40 he paid, which is the $1,960. But we've got to add on to that the interest. So there's where we're talking about application percents. How do we determine that interest? Well, the new interest is determined by it's 14.9% of the amount that we now owe. Of means multiply. So we've got to take the 1960 and we're going to add interest to that. 1,960 times 0.149 because we got to figure out the percent of that. But because it's monthly, we're taking that and dividing it by 12. So I'm going to stop here in just a second and let you see that. See what we're talking about. Let's play that just a few more seconds and then we'll move. Okay, so 1,960, but we got to figure the percentage of that amount is what's going to be added. So we're taking the 14.9% of the 1960, that's multiplying, and then we got to divide that amount by 12 because we'll consider it every month. If I multiply 1,960 times 0.149, I get 292 and 4 hundredths. Now I'm going to divide that by 12 because this 292 and 400 would be if it's yearly, but we're dividing it by 12 because we're saying what would it be each month. And if I divide it by 12, what that gives me is the amount of interest that we're going to add to what he owes. And that becomes 24.3 and 6 repeating. But because we're working with money, we round that to the nearest hundredths. So $24.34 of interest that we have to add on to how much he still owes. So how much does he still owe? He owed the $1,960. So his next balance amount is that $1,960 plus the amount of interest we just figured out, plus the $24.34. Put that together, and his new balance is going to be $1,984.34. So the balance, take away the payment, add the interest. Now, how do we explain that? We put that in words. That's the toughest part for us as mathematicians, is how do we word what we just did? So I'm just going to take it step by step and write down exactly what I did. After Victor's payment of $40 was made, there was a balance of $1,960. I'm just explaining everything I did. After Victor paid the $40, there was a balance of $1,960 left. The company then added 1 month's interest. Oh, I think I left out the word balance. I apologize. There was a balance of $1,960 left, an amount left over. They then added on 1 month's interest of $24.34 to the $1,960 to equal the next month's balance. It kind of makes sense. So you owe some money, you take some away if you make a payment, but you still got to add some interest to it. How you determine that interest is the percent. And the final total, the next month's balance, would be $1,984.34. It's really not hard. The hardest part is, I think, explaining at the end. It's really interesting how it works out. So to equal the next month's balance of $1,984. So that's where we get that. And the minimum payment was $40, and looks like Victor does not have to pay a late fee. So that's part A. That's how we explained how the credit card company calculated the new balance. Let's see what part B looks like. Victor was upset about the new bill, so he decided to send in $150 for his April payment. In other words, he thought, wow, it looks like it shouldn't have, if I took $40 off, looks like I wouldn't have to worry about it. So he said, I'm going to send in more than $40. I'm going to send in $150. The minimum payment on his bill is calculated as 2% of the balance rounded to the nearest dollar. So on this problem, we're going to work on two different things. We're going to figure out what the balance is, but also how to determine the new minimum payment. Apologize for that. So we're going to fill out the table. Let's see how it works with this. Let's fill out the table. Once again, I'm going to read the problem. You decide to send in $150. And we're going to figure out the 2% rounded. We're going to fill in all the four blanks. Let's start with the part that we already know how to do. Easy. The interest rate. That hasn't changed. The interest rate is still going to be 14.9%. So if I look at that as four separate problems, we can work on the second one easily. The interest rate is just going to be 14.9% still, just like it was before. And we'll, just as a reminder, we'll put that as a decimal to the right, because we'll work with that as a decimal. We can also do the late fee. The late fee is $10 if the payment was not received by, well, it looks like it's every month, so it looks like the next one's going to be in June. So two of the four we've already taken care of. Now the balance. The balance is done just like it was last time. We're going to take the amount of the previous balance, which was $1,984.34. We're going to subtract off his payment of $150. This is just like we did in Part A. So get a chance to repeat that. Take off the $150, but then add on the monthly interest. So if we take that off, it looks like that gives us $1,834.34 that we now have to figure the interest on that amount. And just like before, we find out what 14.9% of this amount is, and then divide that by 12 to figure out what the monthly interest rate was. So $1,834.34 times 149 thousandths, and then divide that by 12. If we do that math, we get 22.776, or in dollars and cents terms, that's $22.78 of interest added to it. So it's better than before because he paid $150, but they're still going to charge him. So now what's his new balance going to be? His new balance is going to be that $1,834, which is we got from taking the 150 away, and then the interest of $22.78. So his new balance, it looks like it's going to be $1,800. Made a little error right there. $57.12. That's how we figure out the interest for a credit card. Take away the payment, add the interest rate. $1,857.12. That's our part one. So now we can fill out what his new balance is going to be starting for the next month. But what about the minimum payment due? The minimum payment due said the minimum payment is calculated on 2% of the balance. Remember, when we say of, that means multiply because a part of. So 2% of the balance. 2% of the balance. 2%, write that as a decimal, is 2/100ths. So if I look at that, 2% of the balance of that $1,857.12. So I got to find is what is 2% of the new balance? What would that be? 2% of $1,857.12. It's a small amount, but it's still an amount that he's got to pay as a minimum payment. 2% of $1,857.12, we're going to multiply. We multiply it by 0.02, we get an amount of 37 142/100ths, 37.142. But notice in the details it said that it's going to round that to the nearest dollar. So if I round that to the nearest dollar, that would be rounded to $37. So his minimum payment due now is going to be $37. Notice it's less than 40. You think it's less than 40 because he paid more? I bet it is. So that allows you to understand credit cards. The more you pay for, if you don't have to pay that minimum payment, if you pay more, then you possibly don't have to pay much the next time. Okay, let's see what Part C is. Part C is Victor's Bank offers a credit card with an introductory annual interest rate of 9.9%. He can transfer his current balance for a fee of $40. After 1 year, the rate will return to the bank's normal rate, which is 13.9%. The bank charges a late fee of $15. Probably give 2 reasons why Victor should transfer the balance and 2 reasons why he should not. Multiple answers you give here, but let me give you a couple. 2 reasons why he should transfer. Well, it looks like if that interest rate of the new bank is 9.9% originally and 13.9% after 1 year, well, both of those are still less than what he's paying now, 14.9%. So whether it's the introductory interest rate, remember interest rate is how much a fee they're going to charge him to borrow the money. Well, either the introductory or the normal is still less than what he's paying now, so that might be better. But what's some reasons why he should not? Well, look at that. First of all, the bank charges a late fee of $15. That's $5 more. So if sometimes he thinks he might be late, he's going to be paying more. $15 is larger than 10, so that's not as good of a deal. And the other is, it also looks like, if I go there, what would be another reason? Well, it looks like that the, let's see, what could be another reason? He's also got to pay $40 to transfer the money. So just to transfer to this bank to get this lower interest rate, he's got to pay them $40. So that might be a reason why he would not want to do it. Is he got to pay more money, and the bank charges a $15 late fee. Those are two possible reasons why he would not. So that's part A, B, and C of this performance task. I hope that helps you out. Hope that gets you started and gets you asking questions about credit cards and what goes on. Now let's talk about some more things. Some additional resources. As a reminder from last week, don't forget we've got MathLine, which is an online call-in, also on PBS. Ernie Roberts, a good friend of mine, hosts that. That's a live call-in show. You can call and ask him about any of these problems or any others. Man's a miracle worker with math. He can just take your problems over the phone and work them and help you solve them through that. He's on every Monday through Friday from 6 to 6:30 at PBS. You've got the phone number. You can call in, 1-844-8, 686-2378, or connect with him online on Facebook. That's one resource to help with math, either with these problems or throughout the summer even. Other resources I mentioned that you and your parents, or you and your guardian, you and your family can do around the house. There's many things you can do. Always thinking about math, looking for patterns, asking questions, looking at data, looking at percents, looking at statistics. Many ways you can work with math. One more reminder, these videos are online, but they're also on a TV station for the local PBS station. Math is on Tuesdays. 7th grade shows up at 1:30 in the afternoon for the first time. And additionally, we've got a resource on the Knox County Schools website. Under Student Resources, you're going to find the packet, you're going to find these videos, and multiple other links to help you out with math problems and along with your other subjects. Folks, thank you again for another great week. Hope you enjoy your mathematics, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, and have a good day.